I'm ready to put my next wash of black on the background. So I have my paint mixed up in my separate container ready to go. And I'm just gonna come in and not wet into wet. I'm just gonna slowly add the paint going in one direction. So I'll start on one side and then slowly work my way across, just smoothing out my paint, making sure not to mess up what was already there. So I don't want to go over it a bunch of times, but I'm just going to put this next wash of paint on to start building up the layers of that background. To get a nice black wash, it usually takes a minimum of 3 washes of color. So because I know I have to go slow next to my edge, I'm just going to kind of keep a working wet edge where I'm going to come across and just keep meeting up and then moving across. So I won't go back into the other area. That's the important part. So when you're just working the wet edge, you're just coming across and just keep adding to that wet edge and never going back to where you've already had, because it's probably starting to dry. So you can see I'm just coming out from what's there, making sure that that edge doesn't dry. So I can take my time and go right up to my nice edge and take kind of my time with that, and then slowly pull this edge out again, okay, so that it doesn't dry, and that I'm just working that edge as I go across. So the important part is to not stick your hand in it once you get it there, and to take your time and go really careful right up to that edge of the egg and just keep moving. I'm not putting this on super wet, so I don't have puddles that are gonna flow or mess up drying. And I'm just gonna keep going across, keep getting right on that edge. And especially areas that have, you know, a shorter little span here, it's a lot easier to keep that going, because if you have a big area, this doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to do wet into wet over what you already have if everything is big like that other area. But if it narrows down so that you can kind of catch up without having a big exposed wet edge, then it works pretty good to just do it like this for, you know, your next washes, so that every wash doesn't have to be some big wet into wet wash, and you have the time to get right up to that edge really nicely. So this is a really good way to do this if you are putting it on after your image is already painted. I've already stuck my hand into it, so somewhere there's a hand imprint in it, and then I'll just carefully come and get the edge. But the important part is, even if I don't like something, even if it's uneven somewhere over here, at this point I'm not going back into it, because at that point it's already started to dry. So it's really important that once you're moving across, you're just moving across. You make sure everything's how you want it as you go, because you can't go back into this area now. It wasn't wet into wet. So this first part has already started to dry completely.